You know what I mean? Right. But we have to race so hard right now because essentially at the end of these races, every inch matters. You know what I mean? And every block we can throw and everything else. But this was not that situation. But we're racing so hard right now because of the car, and it's your struggles to pass with this car. You can't give an inch because you might not get it back at the, especially at the end of the race like this was. This is just a situation where they're both pushing as hard as they can. Chase hits that bump at the bottom of 3 and 4, and next split second later they're in the fence. Yep. You agree with William? This is just a product of how hard you got to drive this car and how much on edge you have to be at all times, especially at the end of these races.
I think so. I mean, when I saw his quote from the media scrum, I'm like 100%. I agree with it. And we have this discussion a lot. We have to race like that right now. You know what I mean? To aero block and take guys' lines away. And when I seen it bottom out and get on the left rear, it looked like to me, and then just stepped. You know what I mean? I feel like that's just a product of this car. We're running so down on the earth, and there's very little travel on these things. And when you do travel them to the extent that you hit a bump and travel it, it's going to come back down and just send you. You know what I mean? But
well, it's hitting the left rear. It's hitting the stop and the shock. And NASCAR did bring up before I think the All-Star race this year. But unfortunately, it was at the last minute. A day before or something, 2 days before we were getting ready to go, they wanted to try to remove these bump stops, the stops and the shocks, which is about 50 thousandths of an inch to be removed. You got a lot of pushback because it was 2 days thing, and you're also going to get a lot of pushbacks from these teams that have
figured out
there's probably a little more travel than other teams before it hits the bump, that stop. So
allegedly,
and people like us, we're like, yeah, pull them out, because that makes everybody even, because then you have to run enough spring and enough height to stay off the ground, right? But that changes a lot of things. I mean, that goes so deep into the technology of the simulation and all the things that have to be changed, and it's like you can't throw that at us 2 days before. Give it to us to work on a little bit, set a date down the road a little bit, pick another test for us, please. Go do something. Make us all, allow us to go test a little bit and try all these couple things to try to make our racing better, because it could be better. It could eventually be better.
Right.
It could even up the field a little bit more and make it worse. We don't know, right? But it definitely hit the stop, and we've seen it places like Dover in qualifying or in practice. Stuff off of 4. Get a little side, a little loose. You overcorrect a little bit, dumps on that left rear, and poof, you're done.
You're it's just for the ride.
It's pretty dangerous, but
I mean, I think that's what happened to us yesterday or Saturday qualifying. Looked like as soon as you can see, Bozy did a really good job of like a slow-mo video he posted on X where you see.
Was it in the tunnel?
In the tunnel, yeah. As soon as we got a little too low in the tunnel, it's just it bottomed out, and we were along for the ride at that point. So that's similar, same as Hocevar, I assume. But yeah, it's. I think that just this car, this is what we have right now. You have to race as hard as you could possibly race, and that's a good thing. That's what you want.
I can tell you that. Watching that live and then watching the replay and in slow-mo, like it knocked the breath out of me. You know what I mean? It's just, as a spotter, obviously safety is still our number one goal. When you see somebody hit like that, it knocked the breath out of me. It took me back to Ryan Newman in Daytona 500 in 2020. That's how I felt. You know what I mean? So thankfully he was able to get out and walk away.